We have to find somebody that'll work with us that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business. We're losing.
Sean Diddy Combs' career may be on the brink after 50 Cent dropped those prison tapes, throwing the internet into chaos and sparking speculation about what else could surface. When 50 Cent later discussed his Netflix documentaries Sean Combs, The Reckoning, he suggested that what's already been revealed might just be the beginning, hinting that more tapes could still be waiting to come out.
Is there other stuff that you just have not shown?
Yeah, well, everything couldn't make the, was 4 episodes.
Right.
So it was a lot, you had to pick and choose things, like even in an area where he chooses to date people who he knows previously dated someone. He has a baby by a woman that was dating Tupac.
Wow.
To add to it, but we had to cut it down so we could.
For time.
Yeah.
So are you coming out? I know next year is going to be a number 2, season 2.
I just put it on YouTube.
I just put it on YouTube.
That's right, minus 50 Cent has suggested that even more tapes involving Sean Diddy Combs could end up on YouTube, potentially making them available for a global audience. But the most explosive development since that interview is the allegation that Diddy may have attempted to intimidate and influence a juror, an accusation that could have serious consequences. Here's what's been reported.
Recording it. Well, Diddy was recording it because he thought he was about to beat the case. So he wanted to do a Netflix documentary. Didn't pay the guy, and then 50 got all 140 hours of footage of secret Diddy tactics. Well, there's a guy named Neil who was mentioned in the court, works right up under Diddy, was organizing everything. Allegedly, they are saying that he is on video, film, tampering with witnesses, giving out addresses, offering money, bribing, we'll pay for your lawyers, all kind of shit that could be counted as witness tampering, obstruction of justice. And 50, of all people, has his hands on this footage. And I'm hearing that this could implicate Diddy's lawyers in some bullshit. They could be charged. This shit is getting wild. And I'm hearing that this 50 Cent documentary is just the fucking tip of the iceberg.
This guy in this video said one specific name, and it was Neil, and it automatically made me think of Neil Dominique. Everything that we just covered the other day that came out from Diddy's former chef, Jordan, who was going to be a witness testifying against Diddy in the criminal trial. You remember she just took to her Instagram calling out Neil Dominique, saying that he was basically the one to give Diddy information that she was testifying to the grand jury. She has been claiming for a while, when she testified to this grand jury on April 2nd of 2024, just 2 weeks later, Diddy's attorney would text her saying, "Dear Chef Jordan, this is Aaron Dyer. I'm Sean Combs' attorney. I left you a voicemail last week, but wanted to follow up. I have been told you have been contacted by law enforcement and might want an attorney to represent you." So that man in this video was basically saying that 50 Cent has video footage of Diddy talking to these people and setting this up to go after witnesses.
The most surprising twist is that 50 Cent appears to be backing it up himself. As speculation grew, he claimed to have roughly 140 hours of footage and even posted online, "Yes, I have the footage, lol," sending shockwaves across the internet. The situation intensified when he began explaining why he chose to target Sean Diddy Combs in this way, adding even more momentum to the controversy.
Else is telling us it's clear. I don't have any reserve, like the fear that they would actually have towards him. I don't think he's special.
As it turns out, many individuals who had once declined to participate in earlier documentaries ultimately chose to be involved in this one, explaining that they trusted 50 Cent and no longer felt intimidated about speaking out.
There's a lot of people in this docuseries that wasn't in the previous docs that you saw because they said, "No, I'm gonna do that one because 50, that's gonna be the big one." Because I'm not scared of none of that. Like I think it's just the way I was brought up. I don't really register those things. I've been through way more extreme things than these people. I look at the project, it's just another project to me, and they can look and create reasoning for it. It could be their personal take on why it's the way it is, but if they watch the docuseries itself, they understand it's been done tastefully, and it is the best version of a docuseries that you'll see on this. Well, he is a big part of the culture. Like he's a respectable. He made it to a respectable position within culture. Any smart person would pick their fights. And you say, I don't really get anything out of it. It's not my business anyway, so why say something about it? Like the docuseries is me putting together people who had different experiences and letting them tell their truth, right? And a lot of things come out that make clarity for you in a different way to it. But I only was comfortable saying stuff about him because I've been saying it for 20 years. I've said it since that day. I'm like, what? Nah.
One of the most significant moments reportedly came when 50 Cent obtained footage from Sean Diddy Combs' final days before his arrest and indictment. Seeing that raw material for the first time was described as both explosive and deeply unsettling. According to 50 Cent, it revealed far more than anyone anticipated, adding a powerful new dimension to the narrative he's building.
That was really fascinating.
A journalist would ask that, but a journalist would also say, I'm gonna keep my sources secure, but but I got it, though. They can blame it on me that it's that. I think he's gonna actually like the project. He's gonna see that it was done fair, the perspective. Because he's gonna see too many people or he'll be consumed by what his personal experience was with each individual that's saying things about him because he lived these things. She's gonna understand it. You can interview her following that and I'll do the interview with her. I'll make sure I put it together. Yeah, because I had communications with her, to understand it, what's going on. And even though she's not in the docuseries, it was important I spoke to her to understand how things transpired. The husband, I spoke to him away from her, separate individual communications, and then see things kind of match up. Like when people say things, I go, oh, okay, I hear what you said, but when you hear things multiple times from people, different people, it kind of rings true to you. He got old real fast. His hair was jet black, like mine, and the next day he was like a full. All I saw of him was the raccoon pictures from the courtroom. When they drew him, it was looked like a raccoon.
Just like that, 50 Cent has thrust himself back into the spotlight, emphasizing what he calls the most critical element, hard proof and real receipts. He's made it clear that, in his view, documenting a rival's downfall is part of operating at the highest level. He has also addressed why many high-profile figures in Sean Diddy Combs' circle have remained silent over the years, claiming he's been quietly gathering material all along and waiting for the right moment. One he believes has arrived now that Diddy is behind bars and unable to block the documentary's release despite legal challenges. Another point of controversy surrounding the documentary is its omission of Anthony Wolf Jones, Diddy's former bodyguard. Gene Deal has publicly criticized the project for leaving him out, while also challenging certain narratives about how events tied to the East Coast-West Coast rivalry unfolded. He further claimed that Wolf had previously made it clear he would not travel without proper protection and support.
And Kirk Burrows called me up. He's like, yo, Gene, you and Wolf, I got y'all tickets to LA. I said, all right, cool. So I go down there and I pick up the tickets to LA. I got Wolf ticket. So I'm calling Wolf up. I say, yo, Wolf, I got your ticket to go to LA. And Wolf said, I ain't going. I said, what you mean you ain't going? He said, yo, Gene, I ain't gonna tell you how I'm making I ain't gonna tell you how to make your money, but I'm gonna let you know this. I told Puff them if they wasn't gonna take 2 tour buses of my niggas out there with us, I'm not going. Wolf is the head of all the functions that has to do with Puff dealing with security. I have my own contract with Puff, yeah. Paul Offord ran Green Gate Security, which is the daily operations of Puff stuff. That's his house, his cars, his transportation. He ran the office, the bad boy office, the clothing, all that shit. He ran the deli operation with his security. Wolf is over whatever's happening with Puff. You understand? Wolf tells Puff them and tell Kirksborough and them, no, if y'all not going out there right, nobody should go out there at all.
Tragically, Anthony Wolf Jones later lost his life while working security and protecting Sean Diddy Combs during critical moments. Gene Deal has stressed that this key part of the story, including Wolf's alleged ties to BMF, was entirely omitted from the documentary.
So, Wolf did not and was not going anywhere that had to do with California. And it wasn't because of the Jake situation. It was that he wanted to be safe, and the only way he felt safe if he was going out there with the dudes from his clique. And that was the Valley Mob. That's the only way. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And people they didn't even put that in the documentary. Wolf ended up losing his life behind Puff and his bullshit. And that bullshit was with BMF. That's a big segment in my book that I wrote that whole shit. I wrote a whole big situation in my book regarding that, Mighty. And I know you're doing this. I want to say that right there because I was there the night that Meech had promised Puff, you know what I'm saying? He ain't have to worry about Suge Knight. He ain't have to worry about nobody from this point on. And telling Puff some shit like that made him think that he could talk to Wolf any kind of way. Because if anybody knew BMF was powerful back then, they had dudes from everywhere. And Meech telling him he ain't have to worry about nobody no more, it made Puff think that he could tell Wolf that he didn't need Wolf no more. And one thing led to the next.
Gene Deal argues that Anthony Wolf Jones's death was not simply an accident or a minor footnote, but something connected to larger industry dynamics and decisions made by powerful figures, making its limited coverage in the documentary, in his view, a significant omission. At the same time, Sean Diddy Combs and his family are reportedly preparing a massive defamation lawsuit, said to be worth around $1 billion, in response to the film. However, 50 Cent has pointed out that pursuing such legal action would require proving the claims are false, potentially opening the door to even deeper scrutiny. Meanwhile, Diddy is also said to be facing growing financial strain due to ongoing legal battles and rising costs, which could make sustaining his usual lifestyle increasingly difficult. Adding another layer to the controversy, there are also allegations that he secretly recorded private conversations with his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, a claim that, if true, could seriously undermine attorney-client trust and introduce further legal complications.
Mark Garagos, who is my co-host on Two Angry Men, he's represented Diddy for years, and his daughter is part of the Agnifilo defense team. And he was involved in all of this. So in this past weekend's podcast, I pushed him to find out how Agnifilo really feels here. And Mark kind of skirted it some, but I think you get the sense.
Diddy knew that Mark was being recorded, but Diddy didn't tell Mark. Does Mark feel betrayed by Diddy?
I've not talked to Mark about it.
What do you think?
Would feel.
What do you think?
I will tell you, I'll just tell you, if it was me, I would be more than a little upset. I was more than a little upset when the client didn't know and I was being recorded. I mean, there was a while there where I was meeting clients under bridges, freeway bridges, because I was PTSD over it. So I think, as a lawyer, it is one of the most inviolate oaths that you take to protect the client confidentiality and the client privilege. So I don't know, I haven't talked to Mark, but if I were Mark, I would be out of my head.
Out of my head.
It's incredible. Diddy did two things here. Number one, he betrayed Mark Agnifilo, who, to your point, did so much for him. Obviously, without Mark Agnifilo, may very well be spending the rest of his life in prison. The second thing that he did is, by having a third party that's privy to the conversation, the videographer in this case standing there, there's no privilege, right? Diddy waived that entire privilege. Now, it didn't end up backfiring because it seems nobody knew about it until the end of trial, and what are you going to do at this point? But it's such a callous act by Diddy to just sell out his lawyer like that. It's so selfish.
Following that alleged misstep, additional claims and discussions about Sean Diddy Combs have continued to emerge. The documentary reportedly includes footage of him in public settings, interacting with fans, greeting people, and pausing for photos. In one clip, he jokes about needing hand sanitizer and a bath after multiple hugs, mentioning 150 hugs and joking about wanting the cleanse afterward. Another segment shows him discussing the idea of hiring an editor to compile footage of Don Richard, who previously filed a civil lawsuit alleging sexual assault, battery, harsh working conditions, and underpayment. The documentary also presents earlier footage in which she speaks positively about her experiences with him, creating a contrast that has fueled further debate over how events are being portrayed.
Was officially on the stand for 20 minutes. She will continue on Monday, but before I tell you what she testified to, I do want to give you a warning that she does talk about violence and abuse. Started off with Dawn testifying that she was working with Diddy from 2004 until 2011. She opens up about an incident she witnessed in 2009 when she went to Diddy's home in order to record. She said her and Cassie were downstairs when they heard Diddy yelling and coming down saying, "Where the F are my eggs?" He said Diddy grabbed the skillet full of eggs and tried to hit Cassie on the head, and she went down in a fetal position. Was punching and kicking Cassie before he put his arm around her neck. Diddy then grabbed her by the hair and dragged her up the stairs, and she was in shock. She said she was so in shock she did not intervene, nor did she call the police. Next day, she said Diddy locked her and another person in the recording studio and threatened them. In her own words, he said what we saw was what lovers in passionate relationships do. He said Cassie was okay and it would be in our best interest if we didn't say anything. He claims that Diddy then said he was trying to get them to the top of the industry before threatening them by saying where he comes from, people go missing if they talk. Then after all of that, he got them flowers. Prosecutor then asked, "How did you understand that?" And she said, "Death." His attorney yelled objection, and then they had a sidebar. That's when attorneys from both sides will come up to the judge and whisper between one another and nobody else can hear.
If she witnessed, and she's saying that she witnessed a gangbang, which actually we know it as called a train. And she worked on the album, The Train to Paris. And like I heard one of the YouTuber, could be Tistel, say that we didn't know what the train to Paris meant. But now we know that the train of Paris was a train in Scotland, according to Dawn. It wasn't a train in Paris, it was a train in Scotland. Now, only time I ever witnessed Puff doing something is when two guys and two girls will go in the room. And that was just regular. And however they did it, whatever they did, that was their business. But he gotten bold enough, whereas that he would do that in front of Dawn and other people at a poolside in Scotland. You sure it was Scotland, man?
Yeah, that's what she said, man.
Scotland, Arizona, but not Scotland, the country.
Nah, she talking about the country, man.
Wow. I just think that, you know, man, you got to go back to the drugs and the alcohol, man. The drugs and the alcohol, man. And those things that make you do strange things. And for somebody to gangbanging an assistant, she might have a lawsuit now too. She might have a lawsuit too. Because you can't do that to people that work for you, bro.
The series also includes audio from a 2008 proffer interview with Dwayne Keefe D. Davis, who is currently awaiting trial in connection with the 1996 killing of Tupac Shakur. A proffer is a legal agreement in which a person can provide information to law enforcement without it being directly used against them in court, though it does not grant full immunity. In the documentary, Davis reportedly gives a detailed account in which he alleges that Sean Diddy Combs was involved in arranging Tupac Shakur's murder for $1 million.
Yeah, and he even said that, like, in retrospect, that was probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Puffy. By Zip stealing the money, now Puffy isn't connected to that shit. Or else it would have been like a murder for hire or something, you know what I'm saying?
The FBI said Zip.
So the FBI told you the
he
same
was
thing.
a dirty motherfucker, yeah.
So the FBI told you that Zip kept that money as well.
They said Zip's a dirty motherfucker. Everybody crossed you. You the last one to know every fucking thing. Even lawyers, your friends, everybody can cross your ass.
Is this proof that Sean Diddy Combs was involved? Not necessarily. A proffer or interview of this kind does not, on its own, establish guilt. However, it can become part of a wider discussion when people are examining various claims, statements, and accounts from different sources, including those attributed to individuals involved in the case.
What makes you say you lost your empire because of Puffy? Why you say that?
I did. Shit. If I wouldn't have never met him, I wouldn't have never been involved in this bullshit. You know what I'm saying? If I would have never met the brother, I wouldn't have never been involved in this bullshit. Really. Because me and Suge was playing on the same Pop Warner team and everything. My homeboys helped put Suge in the game and all that shit, you know? And it really crashed two people's empire that fucking one night. You know what I'm saying? Mine's for sure. Suge's too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, man. So you feel like Puffy, he's the reason for your empire and Suge empire going down because of the whole situation with Tupac.
Exactly. He the only one still balling. Shit. Yeah, he made our shit go down, man. Yeah, I ain't even met him already. He won't even look out or nothing, you know?
So break that down, man, for the people out there that don't know the backstory. What did Puffy do exactly to break down y'all empires?
Because he pitted us against each other, it seemed like he pitted us against each other. You know, which was kind of smart because we're Crips and Suge was Bloods. Like, you know what I'm saying? He just called me and Zip was rolling up Greenleaf one night. He called and asked, you think it's safe to come out here to do our concerts? And I just said, man, give me like 50 tickets. Each concert, we'll be out there with you. We'll go with you. We went to the concert in San Diego, went to the concert in Anaheim, Irvine Meadows, and the one in Las Vegas with them. Yeah, and back then they was just a startup coming up. You know what I'm saying? They didn't really have no money like that. We were balling. We was the bosses.
The documentary also examines Sean Diddy Combs' early life, including his relationship with his mother and past romantic relationships, some of which are described in allegations involving abuse. It also offers a broader look at his mindset and personality as he rose through the music industry.
This is a young man who grew up with street-funded privilege. After his father passed away, it's very clear that his mother kept on hustling and kept hanging around hustlers. Tim Dog has described the parties in the house: pimps, hoes, hustlers, models, basketball players. You got that kind of crowd. There's got to be a drug dealer or so there. Alcohol everywhere. There was a stage built in the living room, and they were asked to perform as kids. I mean, like, this is how he grew up. It was almost if he was designed to throw the parties that we'll later hear about from the white parties to the parties overseas, with very, 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 very interesting things happening there, all the way to the freak-offs. It's like Sean Combs was in a never-ending party his whole life. Now, from a boy being draped in chinchilla to a boy running around the streets promoting parties, interning for Andre Harrell before he got a paid position. I mean, his life was like a whirlwind. It was almost like he was in too much of a rush to grow up. I mean, even the way Andre Harrell said he bullied his way into his home, coming up with some story about a fight between him and Janice and how he couldn't live with his mom anymore. And the next thing you know, he's living with Andre. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. In my opinion, I do not believe they were just roommates. I do not believe this was just a mentor-mentee relationship. In my opinion, from rumors that I've heard, from some things that might have been lost along the way, there was a much closer relationship between Andre and Puffy.
It also attempts to point to a pattern of Sean Diddy Combs being linked to legally and emotionally complicated situations while, at times, not facing long-term consequences. Taken together, these claims are framed as part of a broader narrative about recurring cycles of conflict and trauma surrounding him, though they remain allegations and interpretations rather than proven facts.